This video is sponsored by Anoah Mother Care. Great stuff for great kids.
My name is Doreen. I'm a reporting analyst with one of the telecom companies in Ghana. I have an adorable 3-year-old, never tiring 3-year-old. His name is Adriel. Currently, he's the only one I have. The plan is just to have one more and end it there. Finding out I was pregnant, it was more of I wanted to find out, I didn't want to find out. Because I and my husband planned it like any typical married couple. We wait for 2 years, get to know ourselves, have the honeymoon period, you know how it goes. But you know, as a woman too, once you start seeing the babies and you start wanting some of your own, and at a point I just started becoming complacent with the birth control and all that. And the day I decided to rely on my menstrual flow is when I think everything went uphill. I wouldn't say downhill. Everything went uphill from there. So I think I'd missed my menses for like 2 weeks, which was normal for me because it wasn't regular. And I think the 3rd week I started wondering. So I decided to buy a pregnancy test kit. I did it and it was negative. And I was like, it's negative, it's negative. And then another week later, still no menses. And then I decided, okay, let me just buy it again and see. And when I did, it was 2 lines. So I was sitting there looking at the kit and I didn't know if I was happy or not, but it was positive. So I went to the hospital to confirm. When I went, the doctor put the gel thing, but he couldn't see anything. So he asked me to take in water and come back. And I did, and then you could just hear the kikim, kikim. I was like, all right, I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant. So when I left the hospital, it was a bit of excitement and a bit of, what is my husband going to say? I mean, the plan was 2 years, and this is 3 months, 4 months. Okay, it was more like 4 or 5 months into the marriage, because when I found out, I think I was already about 6 or 7 weeks gone. So I got home. I actually waited for like a week or 2 before I told him, because this wasn't the plan. So I just told him, this is it, I'm pregnant. And he said, okay. It wasn't like, okay, it was just like, okay. It was like, this wasn't the plan, but I think at the end of the day, we can't say it was a regret. And he's his best friend. Like, the two of them flew and I'm just an outsider. So at the end of the day, I think it was all good. For me, my pregnancy was like uneventful. I don't know if I should say fortunately or unfortunately. I didn't have that morning sickness, tiredness. The only thing was sleepiness. I could sleep for Ghana. I could sleep. Like, I just couldn't do anything. I was always sleepy and I was working. So you can imagine how it was. Every morning when I get to work, I just had to go and find a corner to sleep. During the day, my lunch breaks were for sleeping. On the way home was sleep. Like, I was just sleeping everywhere. It took a lot of discipline to actually make it through a work day. I wasn't really vomiting. It's when I started taking the folic acid. That one, every morning that I attempt to brush my teeth, only when I want to brush my teeth, I would throw up. And it wasn't like any plenty throwing. It was just something small, but it was very unpleasant. So I tried changing my toothpaste. It didn't work. So I just had to. So brushing my teeth every morning was just not it was just not pleasant for the whole duration of the pregnancy. That's how it was. I really wasn't spitting. I think it was just like a 1 week episode where all of a sudden there was just saliva in my mouth every time. So I made like a carry-along bottle, put sand in it so that it wouldn't be shaking. So I was just spitting into that, and that really, it was neat, it was compact, and it was a vacuum flask, so nobody could see what was inside. Yeah. I was strong throughout. I was working, doing washing, doing everything, so I wasn't weak or anything. I didn't have cravings initially, but at a point I couldn't do without Kosiani Meko. Like, I've never been an egg person. I don't like egg, especially cooked egg. I don't like it, but I just felt like I couldn't do without Kosiani Meko at the point. And because of Kosiani Meko, I got into an accident looking for... it was crazy. Yeah, it was just a normal pregnancy. Baby was okay, healthy. There was no any... I didn't swell up. It was just normal. It was normal for me, uneventful, like I said. Kosiani Meko. So what happened was, we went to Kumasi one time, and I think that time I was pregnant, but I didn't know. And I saw it, and I just felt like I have to eat this, you know. My husband was like, okay. So he stopped, and I ate like 3 at a go, and I was okay. Then we came back to Accra, and every time I see it, I have to buy it. And so I'm an Adventist, so we go to church on Saturday. So we closed from church, we came home, and all throughout the service, I felt like I have to get Kosiani Meko. I have to get Kosiani Meko. So when we came home, my husband went into the room. I quickly went out, took the car, and I was like, oh, I'll just find some in the area here. I couldn't find it. I was like, okay, let me go ahead. I drove all the way to the main station, which was like 25 minutes drive away. Before I got some. I got one, went back into the car. I wasn't satisfied. I went out, went to get another one. I still wasn't satisfied, but I was like, it's okay. And when I was going home, this tricycle thing just came. The whole bumper came off, and I had to call my husband. So imagine the story I had to tell. Like, you didn't tell me you were going out, and what are you coming to buy? I couldn't tell him. Like, I just said, I came to buy something, and it was like after the baby was born, that I told him that I remember the accident I had. It was Kosiani Meko. That was it, yeah. That was the only crazy, like, craving I had. It was not a long period. It was just... And I wanted it with a lot, so I'll make them cut it into 2.
The plenty pepper.
Plenty pepper here, plenty pepper here. And I just wanted the pepper. So once the pepper goes into my mouth, whatever was left, I wouldn't eat it. On the day of my delivery, let me just go back a few days. So on the Friday before I delivered, I decided to take a 2-week break, you know, prepare, move over to my parents' place, and just relax for 2 weeks before the baby comes. So Saturday, I moved over to my parents' place after church, and then Sunday, it was sort of getting the room ready and everything. The Monday, I was fixing the baby's cots, you know, the cots, with my sister. So I was like on my knees, you know, screwing. My husband wasn't there, so I was doing it with my sister, screwing. And then I was feeling, you know, I was like, this baby, why? Has he seen that we are fixing the cords that he wants? We laughed. It was just, but then in the evening, it was like getting intense. And I'm a Google person, so I thought it was like Braxton Hicks. So they said time the contraction. So I got a paper and a pen, you know, when it comes, then you write, when it comes. But after a while, actually, I couldn't, so I just threw the paper somewhere. But then I managed throughout the night, and then early the next morning, I called my mom. So that was Tuesday. I called my mom that, Charlie, let's go to the hospital. And she was like, so my mom was a midwife. She's a nurse, but she was a midwife early in her career. So she decided to check if I started dilating. When she checked, she was like, you've not even started dilating. No, this pain you are feeling is just introduction. And I was like, we have to go, like, let's go to the hospital. So I just picked my bag. My dad was also traveling, so he dropped us, and then we got a taxi. And this taxi driver, like, I think the way I was acting, my mom thought it's that urgent. So this rickety taxi that came is the one that she decided to pick. And when we were going, this driver was pee on the way. And then the pee that he was doing was not as annoying as the way he was driving. This is a pregnant woman, and you are doing pee. At least consider the pain. And it was just like the whole, and I was like, Master, just stop and slow down. I'm not giving birth in the car. And then along the way, the car got spoiled. And at that time, they were fixing the Spintex road. So we had to like use some bypass B. So we had to get down and walk from there back to the roadside. Charlie, that was, I don't even want to remember that part. So on the way, I had called my husband that I'm in labor, so he should meet us at the hospital. And I think when he went there, he went to tell them my wife's baby is coming. So like they were also ready for me. And then as soon as I got there, he came out rushing. I was like, Asa, just stand somewhere. So we went in, and I also called my gynae. I had gone to see him on the Friday. That last Friday, I went to work, and I told him that our baby will come before the next Friday. Let's bet. So on the Tuesday, I told him, I told you, baby is coming. So he came to meet us, and then he checked, the midwife checked, and I still wasn't dilating. So, and I didn't want my husband to go. I didn't want my mom to go. So he said, okay, he was going to give me some, I'm just taking you right through to the delivery. Yeah. So he said he was going to give me some injection for me to sleep a bit to help with the pain. And then later when I wake up, we can get things going. So that was around 9, and I slept till like 2 p.m. Then this pain just woke me up. And I just waddled to the nurse's station. I said they should come and give me some more of the injection. And then the midwife was like, okay, she has to check me first. So she checked me, and I was 7 centimeters. And this was around 2-ish, thereabouts. So I called my husband that, okay, the baby is coming, so he should come. My mom too came over. And I think within an hour or two, I moved from 7 to 9. But then the 9 to 10, you know you have to be 10 centimeters before the baby's head can come. The 9 to 10 was the problem. I was at 9 centimeters around 5 p.m. thereabouts, and I delivered at 9 p.m. So you can imagine, it was 4 hours of just pain. Like it was just, I always say that I didn't cry though, but that's still being disputed by those who were there. Yeah, so it was just those 4 hours that was really intense, really intense. And I think my bladder was full too. So the baby's head couldn't come down, and I couldn't pee. Like we did everything. I squatted, I sat on the birthing ball. It just couldn't come. And so at a point they had to put the catheter, and I don't know how they were doing it, but that was the only time I remember screaming. I screamed so loud. The nurses came from the nurses station to come and see what was going on. It was just horrible. And that was the point my husband said, please, let's just do the CS. my gynae was like, see this guy, you've gone to 9, you want to do CS. So my gynae came in, and he had to like manually insert his hand into my, VJJ, and then lift the baby's head. At least that's how it felt, because he lifted and then they put the catheter inside, and I felt this tiny urine escape, and that was when I had that urge to just push, and the rest is history. And he came. I felt normal, actually. I was disappointed at how normal I felt. Like, I wasn't excited, but I wasn't like, as I didn't resent the baby. Like, I was just okay. I was normal. Throughout my pregnancy was, even though it was okay, like on the emotional, I had other issues going on, work and personal. So like all that culminated, and when I saw the baby was like, just relieved that the baby had come. But it wasn't like crying or nah, it was, I don't know if maybe it was just the side effects. I don't know. I was just okay. But I didn't sleep that whole night because I was scared someone would take the baby. So I guess it was love, just that I couldn't express it like people, people usually cry and all that. But I just held him and I was just okay. That was it. Yeah. So right from the hospital, my mom came and we drove over to my parents' place. And when I went, they had done this little setup for me and baby. It was cute. I really had a lot of support from my mom because initially, you're tired, you're still healing. So she was taking care of the baby mostly. And my baby couldn't really latch on initially too. So it was a lot of expressing. The only thing that was really like emotional, like it really drained me, is the lack of sleep. Even it's hard, everybody thinks, when I give birth, my mom will be there and everything will be fine. My mom was doing everything. She was cooking, washing the baby's clothes, bathing, everything. All I had to do was feed the baby, and it was the feeding that was draining me because they are small. They have to eat every few hours, or depends on how you space it. So like it's a 24-hour cycle. And I remember at a point I was crying. I wanted to sleep. Like I just wanted to sleep for 5 minutes. You know, that was the only hard part of it. But in terms of support, my mom was really there for my parents. My dad was there. He couldn't hold the baby, but at least the support was there. My husband was always coming around. My parents are Tema, and we were living in Accra by then, so he was always coming over every weekend after work. So the support system was there. It really helps, and you don't do everything by yourself. I really respect people who go through that alone. It's hard. It's crazy hard, like hard. It's hard. So right when he was born, I had to stay in the hospital for like 2 days just for observation. And then when we were going, I think he was supposed to have the BCG. I think that's the very first one before you take him home. And the hospital didn't have it. And my mom was like, we have to get it before we get home. So we roamed like the whole area. We didn't get it. We went to like Tema, we didn't get it. And so we got to Ashaiman. There's a polyclinic there. And that is where we got it. And you know, sometimes these nurses, you know, like they're strict. And as soon as they brought the needle, I was doing, and my mom was like, hey, don't come and do that thing here. So she held the baby, and then they gave him that injection. It was sad for me. My heart broke. So that was the first one. And then I think every few weeks, I don't even remember how the schedule was, but we didn't miss one. We never missed one. We always took him for all the immunizations. I only had 3 months maternity leave, and so he was still on breast milk. So after he was able to latch on, I tried to express some milk. I think when he was 2 months old, because I had only a month to get back to work. So I tried to express breast milk for him to be taken when I'm at work, because I was trying to do the 6 months exclusive. And I don't know what came over me, and I just decided to try the frozen milk and see how he would take it. I don't know how he was able to tell the difference, but he didn't take it. So I exhausted all the packs. I think at that time I had stored about 5. The first one, he didn't take it. The second, I exhausted all 5. He didn't take it. So I thought maybe there was something in the freezer that was getting into the milk, so he didn't like the taste of it. So I cleared the whole freezer, did it again. He still didn't take it. So I just figured that my baby was not into the frozen. So I didn't do that. I didn't keep any expressed milk. So every morning, fortunately for me, when I wake up in the morning, I get a lot of, like my breasts are engorged. So I could get a lot of milk, like 300 ml just in the morning. So I used to express that for him, leave it, feed him very well in the morning before I go, and then I come back in the afternoon to come and continue. So I think when he was about 4 months, getting to 5 months, we started trying the porridge. And I wasn't there the day they fed him, but I saw the video and he was ready for it, trust me. So he had that, and that's how we started. We started with the porridge for like a month, and then we transitioned to, we added fruits as well, pureed fruits and vegetables. And then we moved on to like potatoes and chicken. So it was like we're adding something on. I think I was doing that every 2 weeks, just checking to make sure that he's not reacting to something, but he picked everything fine. And by the time he was about 6, 7 months, he was eating everything perfectly. So right from when he was a baby, my mom used to use a small towel just for that. So I think she wet it a bit, just that water, and then she would just use it to clean his mouth and then clean his tongue because of the milk. So he always used to have those white streaks on his tongue. that was it. We did that for a while, and then I think when he was about, when his teeth started coming, the milk teeth started coming, we got, they have the special toothpaste for kids. So that's what, I was still using the towel initially, and then when he grew a bit small, I think 1.5, and then we started using the toothbrush. Now he's 3, he's able to brush it himself under supervision. So one thing I tried not to do was to sort of put him in a box that by this age he's supposed to do this, by this age he's supposed to do this. Though it's important that around that time he should, but I wasn't strict that, okay, at this age he should do this at this age. But he even met the milestones, some of them even earlier. So he never crawled. So I can't say that he started crawling. He never crawled. He was able to sit, but he never crawled. It was this miserable excuse of a crawl. But we're just there, and then he stood up. So he walked at 10 months, around 10 months, getting to 11 months. He just walked. And so I was speaking to my mother-in-law, and she was like, I mean, a lot of her kids also didn't really crawl. They just sort of started walking, and yeah. In terms of speech, he was able to communicate initially using just maybe one word, pointing to what he wants. But now he's able to form little, actually he's able to my son will sit with you and you have a conversation with him. Yeah, it's just that for the, I don't know how you say it in English, I don't say it. But I mean, because I live with him, I know what he's trying to say. Yeah, so he's getting there. But I mean, I'm not bothered. I know other 3-year-olds that can, like on one word, he can say the words, just that you can't hear it. Some of them, you know, you can't really hear it well. But I think I'm just gonna leave him to, when he says it wrong, I correct him. But I think I'll just leave him to just do it in his own time. And I think very soon we're just going to get there. Yeah. If you want to take a picture and he's not ready, he'll say, wait. Just the other time he was talking to my sister, say, hey, now come on, me bon komo. My sister said you should come and visit him. And then it was late. He'll say, but it's late. Hey, he can't communicate. The other day he did a drawing. He was like, wow, what a masterpiece. I just stopped what I was doing. I was like, and his mind wasn't even on me. Like, he just stopped. What's a masterpiece? And he just continued. I was like, you're kidding. Yeah, so he's growing. He's growing. He had to start school at 1, just after 1, some few months after 1. Because I have to go to work. My husband has to go to work. My mom wasn't also living with us, that I would say I'm leaving him with my mom. So he had to be a tough kid early on, and he adapted to it quite well. So what the schedule is that we drop him off in the morning around 7:30 at school, go to work, close at 5, pick him up, and then go back home. Now that Corona has set in, I thought it would be easier, but it's not, because now I'm a full-time 24-hour mom, and then I'm also working at the same time, taking care of the home at the same time. So it's a bit stressful, especially at this age where they are active and they're exploring and they just understand, they don't understand no. It's hard, but I have my husband's support, at least. That one really helps. He's very good with my son, so yeah. But he's an independent kid, you know. When I was working and at a point I had to wean him because the milk I was leaving was even not enough for him, and he wasn't even bothered. Like, you leave me at home all day anyway, like, he wasn't bothered. It was just the one night, I think he cried for like an hour when he realized he wasn't getting it. Oh, forget it. The next day, he didn't come near it again, like, not. He just stopped. And that was it. So he's an independent kid, you know. He's his own man. Right now, is the right now part. The fact that he doesn't understand no, that's it. That's the most challenging part for me. And now, it's as sad as it is to say, I've never really had this much time with my child, because it's always drop him off in the morning, pick him up. And I was also working. I was also schooling. I'm a full-time student as well. So at a point, I was only seeing him in the mornings. It was initially hard. I was like, this child, is this how he is? You know, getting used to him just not understanding the word no. Sometimes I just get so, I don't want to use frustrated, but I'm tired, you know, like, listen to me, child. And I think that's the most challenging part. But now we've been at home for a while now, so we've kind of gotten used to the cycle. It was just going to be mommy, 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 until it becomes a song. You know, it's sometimes what I do is, just to keep my sanity, I just go to the bedroom and I close the door, or I go to the spare room and I close the door and I just sleep a bit. You know, so when you're tired, you tend to get so annoyed much easier. And I realized I was losing myself. The tiniest thing, I'll snap at him, the tiniest thing, and that's not the kind of person I am. So when I realize that I'm tired, you know, I'm getting to my limits, I just take a break. His dad is there, his dad will handle him. I just take a break, gather myself, you know, calm down, and then come out again, and then brave it again, yeah. Every day is a rewarding part of motherhood for me. Right from the beginning, right from the first cry. Like, motherhood is, I don't know, it sort of just comes to the whole package. Every little achievement is the most rewarding. But to put it all in a nutshell, I think the most rewarding is the person I've become. You realize there is this part of you that can really love, that's to a point. We went to a shop one time, to a mall one time, and he just got out of my sight for like 2, and the panic was just crazy. Like, you know, like that love that you have for a person, motherhood just heightens it and really brings it out for you. But in all, I'm just grateful for the kind of person I am now because of him. Yeah. They bring out the best and the worst. That's the most amazing part of it. They bring out the best and the worst in you. So for me, the 3-year-old is just finding himself, developing his personality, and asserting his independence. Let me just say that, because he's one crazy independent kid. The only concern I would have is the 6 months exclusive. I've always been an advocate for stop making women feel like if you don't exclusively breastfeed your baby, you are doing something wrong. If you don't exclusively breastfeed for 6 months, you are doing something wrong. I totally support the idea behind the 6 months. Apparently, it helps the baby develop better and also for hygiene purposes. But I think people really have to understand and appreciate the fact that not everybody has that opportunity to do that. And for me, when I gave birth to my baby, my breast milk wasn't coming initially, so they had to give him formula at the hospital. It's the hospital that will tell you to do 6 months exclusive, right? But they gave him formula at the hospital. And that was the point. I mean, I've always felt like, people should stop pointing fingers and making women feel like something because they're not doing that. But that was when I really saw that, especially when I had to make him start taking the porridge when he was about 4 months, going to 5 months. And you know, you tell people, oh no, I started did you? And it was like, hey, but are you not doing 6 months? And people feel like it's a trophy doing 6 months. And I was like, no, my breast milk is not enough for him. I can't starve my baby because I want to do 6 months exclusive. I can't say I'm quitting my job because I want to do 6 months exclusive. And so for me, the only message I want to put across is when someone is not exclusively breastfeeding their baby for 6 months, I don't think it's anybody's place to judge. I mean, offer the advice you want to give, but I think the stigmatization, and it's really a stigma. I mean, okay, I don't know if you've seen it, but I have seen it. And you know, when you say, me, my baby, he's already eating, it's like, hey, you know, it's like, it's this big thing. I think it shouldn't be like that. I think the best people can do is to offer their support. A mother knows what's best for her baby, so, and the circumstances you find yourself also dictates the measures you take to bring up your baby as best as you can. So I think society should rather just support, especially newborn mothers. And also mothers should go with their instincts. Every child's needs are different. One size does not fit all babies. You do this for your child and then it won't turn out as well as it did for another person. So just do what your baby is comfortable with, and at the end of the day, your child will blossom into something that you didn't expect him. Yeah.
This video was brought to you by Anoah Mother Care. Great stuff for great kids.